Welcome to another edition of Religion and Politics. My name is WaleAde, and today we're going to talk about the topic of being a husband and being a wife. We shall Yeah, here on Religion and Politics, we talk about controversial conversations and we confront them head on. And so one of the things that I've had the ability to do is to talk with many singles, to talk with many men and women. And one of the things that I realize is that we really don't know how to be husbands and how to be wives. And what do I mean by that? See, a lot of us grew up, especially in the black community, where we grew up in single family homes, where we did not see a man and a woman interact with each other in a way that was loving. And in fact, a lot of times, 80% they say black households have single moms as the only sole parent. And so a lot of times those moms were never really in serious relationships because, they're busy working, they're busy on their grind, taking care of their kids. And so the kids growing up under that household never really saw an interaction of a man and woman making a household work because it was always mother working. And for the other 20%, it was always fathers working. And so, one of the things that we need to do is sometimes we need to look at, is it wrong to prepare to be a husband and a wife? As a matter of fact, I want to hear your comments on this. Should people take training to learn how to be a husband or a wife? Is that patriarchy? Is that something that people don't think is necessary anymore? Should you just be how you are and just let that be? Or does it take time and effort to become what you want to be if you want to be married? And so I'm not talking to those people that just want to be single their whole lives, because I know that's your prerogative, and some people don't really want marriage. But I'm really talking to the people who are looking for that true intimacy, who are looking for that companionship, who are looking for somebody to enjoy themselves with and spend the rest of their lives building something together. And for those people, I want to ask you, what have you done in order to prepare to be a husband? And what have you done, ladies, in order to prepare to be a wife? So is it something that you feel like the church should do? As a matter of fact, we should get into this topic, because I think a lot of times, the church has misconstrued, especially men in leadership, what it means to be a husband. I think what we pushed the narrative of women, basically having to just submit to men and just do what as men say, and the men is the lead, so the women needs to shut up and sit down. I think that's kind of some of the things that we've seen. Even in our own church, we've seen women who have had babies out of wedlock kind of be shunned, as opposed to, and the man actually being anonymous, being kind of just let go and free of responsibility. And so one of the things that I really want us to say is that, number one, I don't think we as a church has got this right. And as a matter of fact, because the Christian divorce rate is just as much in tune in the U.S. with the regular divorce rate, when we're supposed to be set apart, we're supposed to be something different. We're supposed to be an example to the world, but it seems like we're falling into the same category. And so one of the things that I think that would really help our community is to be in church and teach people how to be in relation with one another. Teach women to learn how to basically interact with men, and teach men how to interact with women. And of course, this is a generalization, but there are some things that are actually that are kind of widespread that would help. For one, they have these two different, ideas. I've been actually looking at a lot of videos. Some guys will know about the red pill. So those are guys like, Kevin Samuels. Those are guys like MTR. Those are guys like Fresh and Fit, right? And so a lot of men navigate to that side because of some of the hurt and some of the pain that they've experienced while dating women. And women, on the other hand, have kind of went to modern day feminism, where sometimes it's like, we can be independent. We don't need a man for nothing. Everything is patriarchy, and those are the things. So they're two extremes, right? And so how can we find that equilibrium and that middle ground? And one of the things that I think there is middle ground in is people taking time to learn more about themselves. Before you can be a good husband, before you can be a good wife, you have to be good with yourself. And what I mean by that, you have to put in the work to actually know who you are. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody today, and he was basically telling me, I don't really know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I dislike. And, a lot of times we just go through life emulating what we see, kind of trying to be like everybody else, thinking we want what everybody else has, but we never really take time to sit back with ourselves and figure out, who am I? And I want you guys to really take some time before we even talk about husband and wife. And this is not something that you can usually do on your own. Now, I'm a big advocate of counseling, and you'll see that in my podcast. Like I always say, people should go to counseling. But the reason why I say that is because, you won't be able to see yourself in a more objective and clear light if you're the one evaluating yourself. As a matter of fact, when we try to reflect, a lot of times we're subjective to our own thoughts and our own beliefs about ourselves, when as a matter of fact, that might be a tainted picture of what reality really is. And so I encourage you, I know it's going to be uncomfortable, I know it's going to be difficult, but go find a therapist, go find a counselor that is trained in helping you navigate yourself so that you can be able to understand yourself better. And one of the things I know is, somebody might say, well, Wale, I tried that already. I've already went and tried to be to a therapist, and they were trash. And I do want to let you know there are some bad therapists out there, right? So I affirm that. But just like a doctor, just like a dentist, right? When you find somebody that you don't like, what do? Do you stop going to the doctor? Do you stop going to the dentist? Maybe some of you do, but I think a lot of you don't. You just keep going till you find the person that you're comfortable with. And so just the same thing with therapy. You go to one person, they're not good. Go to somebody else, because I'm not going to sit up here and lie and say all therapists are great, because they're not. As a matter of fact, a lot of therapists don't even do the work themselves, and they should. And so how can they tell you how to do your work if they haven't done their own work as well? So you can interview your therapist, and one thing that I would, just ask them, are you in therapy yourself? If they say no, I probably leave and get up out of there and go to somebody who I know is actually doing work on their own. And so I say, before you can be a good husband, before you can be a good wife, go take care of yourself and go to therapy so that you're good and healthy for yourself and for the relationship you're looking for. But the second thing I think is that as a church, so let me go back there. I think the church should offer more counseling services. And I'm not talking about counseling in the Bible that we usually do. Yes, the Bible has good tools, and I think spiritual enrichment, spiritual guidance is good, but I think you also need the clinical aspect of it as well. So I think they're not adverse to each other, but I think they go hand in hand. And so the second thing, I think the church should be offering classes on how to prepare to be a husband and how to prepare to be a wife. And so I know some people don't like gender roles, some people don't like traditional roles, but the fact of the matter is there's a man and there's a woman. There's testosterone and there's estrogen, and overall there's a way that we like to communicate. And so just like men, are taught to kind of open doors, or maybe not anymore. I know this generation is different, and kind of don't hit women, and there's a way that we're being taught how to interact with women. So that's the baseline, right? That's not nothing special. That's just kind of the baseline. But we also need to know, unlike the red pill guys say, we need to know how to go through and process our emotions. We need to be able to verbalize those emotions. We need to be able to say exactly what is going on with us. And what happens with a lot of dudes is that when we get into relationships, we aren't used to kind of talking about our emotions. And so when we get into an argument and we feel like, our significant other has taken away our peace, we kind of just shut down, and we might just say, okay, or we might just, leave, or we might just, check out mentally. And what I'm trying to tell you is that's not conducive to a healthy relationship. As a matter of fact, I know a man that you've been looked at weak for your emotions, and maybe your past girlfriend, you try to share it with her, and it seemed like that thing came back to bite you in your butt. And so I'm just trying to tell you that I know there's dangers in being vulnerability, and the danger is that you can be harmed, you can be hurt. But the ultimate thing is, if you want to grow something that's long lasting, if you want to grow something that is unconditional, and of course we always aim for unconditional, only God can live unconditionally, but we can aim for unconditional, then you have to be vulnerable with your woman. And in order to do that, once again, counseling helps you, but you have to learn how to kind of navigate your emotions. You have to speak in emotional terms. And what I mean by that, so if you're getting in an argument, right, and maybe you feel like your woman, she's disrespectful, right? Or she did something that you feel is disrespectful. Instead of being like, oh, you're disrespectful X, Y, and Z, where you're kind of attacking her, you can rephrase that and just express what you're feeling, right? So in other words, it'd be like, I feel disrespected when this happens, right? So that way you're taking the edge off of blaming her, but you're just communicating what your emotion is. And so I would invite you guys to go look up on the internet, maybe I'll put a link down below, to like an emotional wheel, and kind of get familiar with the emotions that are there, because women can really respond a lot to that emotional intelligence. And so I would say, guys, work on your emotional intelligence. And women, on the other hand, I would recommend that you learn how to be a wife, how to interact with a man. See, one of the things about men is, and I'm biased, so I will say that, but, we just like softness, right? And we understand that, well, let me say I understand. And one of the things I want also the men to understand is have compassion on why black women may be a little more rough around the edges than others. It's because they've had to fight so many things in society. They've had to, fight to be equal in the workplace. They had to fight to be seen as, somebody who is competent in their places of work, and so in society. And so there's a lot of chip on their shoulder they have, raising kids by themselves, and so that's been a lot of that they've had to deal with, that's given them these rough edges. So I'm not trying to excuse the sisters, but I understand that us men have to have a little bit more compassion for what they're going through. And so talking in those feeling terms and trying to identify what's going on with you, that's one way to help. But women, I don't want to absolve you of anything, because I think you need to understand that men need somebody who's going to be soft with them. Men need somebody who's going to talk to them kindly. I'm sorry, but kindness seems to be a lost virtue. Like, we're just not kind anymore. We just don't say things in a way just that will, ease anger. In fact, the Bible says that a kind word turns away wrath. So why aren't we using more kind words? And so women, talk to your man nicely. Be kind to him. Ask him, even when he doesn't say something right or in the right way, ask him what does he mean, or ask for clarification. And one of the things that I also want to say is that as we interact with men, interacting with women interacting with men that you're in a relationship with, that you feel is loving and safe, know that that person does not mean you any harm when you guys have disagreements. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, give the person the benefit of the doubt. Start from giving them the benefit of the doubt that this person is trying to be loving in some way when they're communicating, and figure that out together, instead of thinking of that person as always attacking, or that person always trying to come for you. And so I would just suggest these things in order to do that. So as a pastor, as somebody who runs a church, I just want to encourage us as churches to start having classes, older women learning, teaching younger women, and them learning from each other. In fact, the Bible talks about mentorship. And if you know anything about me, I'm a strong proponent of mentorship. But what I want you guys to understand is that older men need to be mentoring these younger boys, and the younger boys need to be learning from the older men, and vice versa. And also the older women need to be mentoring these younger women, and the younger women mentoring and also learning from and the older women learning from the younger women. And so I just feel like, this is the only way that we're going to start to have strong relationships as well. Because I actually believe that the devil is trying to break down the family structure. But especially I see that in my black community. And if we want to grow stronger, if we want to become a stronger unit, a stronger people, we must have strong black families. But we as a church need to do our part in teaching people how to be better. And so one of the things I want us to end here on this is that we all have to have humility. I'm going to say that again. We all have to have humility, right? Because none of us know everything. And so, but we have to be teachable. We have to be courageable. That's the same word. Because we can't learn anything. We can't grow if we shut ourselves off and we're closed-minded to the things that are out there. So I just encourage churches, in the spirit of God, not in this negative spirit or this devilish spirit of trying to subjugate women to less than, or trying to beat up on men saying that they are not good enough, or they're not, they're trash. We need to come together and make sure that we are building strong families together. So churches, please teach men how to be husbands and teach women how to be wives. Once again, this is WaleAde with another edition of Religion and Politics. It's been my pleasure to be with you guys here today. Just go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and join me in the comments. Did I get this right? Did I get it wrong? And let me know what you think about if churches should be teaching men how to be husbands and women how to be wives. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.